So sometimes when I can't be bothered to make lunch or I have nothing good in the fridge, I will do like a protein milkshake sort of thing. So scoop of protein, milk. I rip up some bananas and I put them in the freezer. So rather than like ice, I can have like cold banana and whatever. And I was making one the other day and I was just thinking about stuff and I wasn't really paying attention. And I pour it into my big old mug and I taste it. And honest to God, it was the worst thing I've ever tasted. So I couldn't describe to you what it tasted. I almost cried and I called for my partner. I was like, I don't know what's going on, but my regular, like, it's not complicated. There's like 4 ingredients and it was just the worst thing I've ever tasted. And so he's like pouring it out into the sink and there's like chunks, which is usually because I haven't blended the banana enough. And so it ends up being kind of like a mushy sort of business. And he's looking at the chunks and he's like, this is not banana. This looks like meat. I said, what do you mean? It looks like meat. And he's like looking at the little port. No, this is meat. And so I go into the fridge and I pull out my bag of ripped up bananas. And I'm looking at them, and I realize it's actually a bag of miniature sausages. Oh, no. So I had a protein, milk, and frozen uncooked sausage milkshake. I wanted to die, and now I'm afraid to have my milkshake because I feel scarred.
Well, it would have been really, really protein rich, right?
Yeah.
So much protein.
But like, were the sausages cooked or uncooked?
Oh, uncooked. Oh, yeah, raw, frozen.
Oh my God.
Those little boys. I don't even know where we had those because we don't eat them that often, and they're just in the bottom of the freezer apparently. So this is like a little PSA. Pay attention when you're consuming food because you may have a sausage milkshake.
That's disgusting. Sorry.
That's so gross. I'm so sorry that happened to you.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to Murder Friends, the podcast where 3 friends from 3 different countries talk about murder. My name's Alana, and I'm Canadian.
I'm Anna, and I'm American.
My name's Hannah, and I'm British.
So sit back and relax, you're among friends, and let's talk murder.
So it's our first longer normal episode, and we've had a little break. What have you guys been up to? We're day 752 in lockdown in England.
It does feel like that, doesn't it?
Absolutely.
It really does.
It's just getting hard now. I don't know about you guys. Like, we've kind of come up to like the year anniversary of like when it started, and it's like, oh my goodness, this is hard. I think it's also hard because like not everyone in the world is in the same place we are. You know, like in the beginning, you're like, we're all in this together. Everyone, you know, we're all doing this. But like literally not everywhere is, and so you go online and you see people doing things in other countries. Like, what is that like? Oh my God. You had a coffee in a coffee shop. That's amazing. So, yeah, that's where we are. If you're listening from England, then you totally get it. So what, I guess, have you been up to in your house?
You know the answer to this, Anna, and you know it's nothing.
I'm trying, guys. I'm trying.
I've actually been really busy with my side thing, Adventures in Naps, which is really exciting because I've been doing it for years, and it really feels like this last sort of year and a bit it's really started to kick off. But it's tricky making content in a pandemic, and especially like you're saying now, it's dragged on for so long that it really feels never ending. So I've been working hard on working through it, really. But yeah, it's a lot of content. Last week I filmed and edited a YouTube video and filmed and edited a Patreon video. And I thought, I'm going to film and edit a bonus YouTube video. And we also recorded Murder Friends for the first time. And I did a YouTube live stream. And then 2 nights that week, I streamed on Twitch. And I did a Patreon live stream. And it was my birthday. So it was just like that's kind of been happening more frequently is just more and more, which is very cool, and I'm very grateful. But it's also kind of like, oh my God, what have I done?
It sounds like you're having 2 like full-time jobs.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I have a job, which I should put more work into. Really. But yeah, so that's been really like kicking up, which is cool. Learning how to just make shit when I don't feel like it, which has been a learning process, especially at least now, like the weather is kind of turning. And that's made a big difference. You're like, holy shit, like it's sunny and it's like kind of warm. Like I could keep my window open. That makes a really big difference. So I'm hoping that we kind of ride that wave into spring and maybe things won't be so difficult. But yeah, it's just a lot of content stuff lately.
Yeah, that must be hard. I do see, because obviously I subscribe to your channel. So
you better.
Yeah. Yeah, and I see your videos come up and it's like, how is she like even I'm amazed. I'm like, that's amazing, because yeah, I'm running out of things to do myself. So good effort there, because it's really hard right now and like literally nothing's happening.
Yeah. I was actually talking to my partner about it, and he phrased it in an interesting way that I've been using now. And rather thinking to myself like, oh Christ, like I have to film a video today. Like I have to get one done today in order for it to be ready in time. But rephrasing it in my mind more like I get to make a video today that I get to post, and I get to record stuff, and I get to edit, rather than making it sound like a burden in my head, because it's actually like a really fucking cool thing. I worked really hard on it.
It's a really cool like job. Like it is like a really cool job to have. Like you know, I know it's your sort of side gig, but it's kind of become more and more like a main like big job for you. And I think that's really what a cool thing to be doing. You know?
Yeah, and I mean even like I was this morning or whatever, I was gonna go for a walk. And I was like, I gotta do my stupid little walk. I gotta get my stupid little walk in. But actually, you know what? You know, I get to go for a walk like in the middle of the afternoon, and that is like a special thing. So I'm trying to do the I get to phrase in my head now, especially with, you know, pandemic sort of dragging on. You know, I get to do this kind of stuff. I get to eat and walk and work and all the rest of it. So
no, it's a really good way to definitely like think about it. And I have used that technique before too. Some, you know, with different things, or like some days if I'm, well, when we could go to the gym, if I was just tired that day and I was like, oh, I know I need to go and I'll feel better after, and I'll try to phrase it like, oh, I get to go train today, like awesome, like I get to go do this. I can do this. I have the ability to do it, especially because right at this moment I've like managed to throw my back out, which it's like a thing since I turned 30, like I like to do like once a year. It's great. So I'm currently in the I've thrown my back out stage of the year, and I wouldn't be able to do much in the gym at the minute, so I'm gonna remember that, I think, when they do open back up and I'm having one of those days. For sure. What about you, Hannah?
I think I've spoken to both of you about this, but I have just been doing loads of fucking miscellaneous courses on weird stuff.
Yes.
Because I'm not the most motivated people, but when I did my degree, and I did my degree part-time whilst working, it took me 6 years. And I had like a full-time job commuting to London and doing a degree on the side. And then when that stopped, I had like just all this spare time to like do stuff, and I didn't really do anything with it. And then like lockdown hit, and then I had a lot more time with like no commute, and I was like, I'm going to fill my time doing stupid courses. So I was kind of just like randomly just like looking, say if I was just like scrolling on Instagram and it'd be like, oh, a course for coding, I was like, I'll fucking do that. And I did them. I was quite proud of myself, and I've just signed up for a British Sign Language course.
That's awesome.
How cool is that?
I love it. I love it.
So my mum, she can sign. She works in education. She works with a lot of children who have learning disabilities as well. She's pretty rad. And I think a peak bonding moment for us would be to be able to communicate at like family gatherings when we finally start having them again. So we can be like really snarky to each other and like gossip about who's there. through
I
the
love
medium
it.
of sign language, because I truly believe that is a bonding experience me and my mother could really, really enjoy.
I think that's,
So,
especially knowing what your mom's like,
yeah.
pretty savage, and I love it, and that sounds amazing.
Yeah. Do you know that meme? It's just like, oh, you were raised by a Karen. And it's like, well, bitch, I was raised by a Carol. So, yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing.
So that's what I've been doing.
Have you had like a favorite course so far?
I did. So I did one on sustainable fashion. That was really interesting. That was only like 4 weeks. I did a coding course, just like an introduction to coding, where I learned how to like code a website, and that was pretty fun. I mean, it looked terrible. I'm not a website designer in any way. I did what was it? Like a seamstress course, like teaching like how to like learning how to sew effectively, and that was really good. But I think the coding one was probably the most interesting because it's like it's something like brand new that I'd never done before.
Yeah.
And that was really interesting to try something that I hadn't ever done before. It's like learning a new language. And it's just like, if you get it wrong, it won't understand you. So it's like you have to get it right, or else everything just breaks. So yeah, that was really good.
It's so, when I look at code, like it just, my mind's like, no. Like my mind was like, nope, we don't get it. Like we're not even going to try. It's just already confused. And my brother-in-law is a coder for the council. He codes and builds all, I don't know. There's probably, he's got a title. He builds shit online.
A developer, is he?
Yeah. Or that. Or
he builds shit online.
He builds shit online. He's a developer.
Well, okay, we'll go with that title. Fine. But yeah, although the funny thing about him is he's the most anti-technology person on the planet, and then he does that for a living. That's really cool. I'm not been that productive. Have you guys been watching anything?
I have been going through Schitt's Creek. I told you guys.
Oh yeah.
The other day. Big Canadian show. Everybody back home was like, Schitt's Creek is the best thing ever, blah blah blah. And sometimes when people like hype stuff up, I think, oh, it's never gonna live up to the hype. But I've really been enjoying it. I think we're actually gonna finish it tonight because I have leftover birthday cake and we have a couple episodes left. And I said, you know what, let's just go out with a bang. So yeah, Schitt's Creek, I really do enjoy. It's such like the epitome of like easy viewing. And sometimes it's so nice, like we watch a lot of dark shit and listen to a lot of dark shit. And so it's really nice to have like a 20-minute episode of just very easy viewing, very feel good. So I've really been enjoying it.
Yeah, it's a proper palate cleanser, isn't it?
Yeah.
Definitely.
Anna, what have you been?
I have 000, which is on Sky, like in the UK, it's Sky Atlantic. That is really good. They put a lot of money into that show. It's like cinema quality, sort of.
Oh.
They filmed and they filmed on, because I Googled it because I was like, this is great. They filmed in Morocco, they filmed in Italy, they filmed in Mexico, and the US, like on location. And it's about 3 like quite huge stories of a drug shipment trying to get from Mexico to Italy, but there's this stuff going on, and then there's the fixer in the middle. Very cool show. It's a bit dark, but it's really cool. I've been watching that. And I'm just gonna say here, because we're not gonna review it, but Dateline did a 3-part episode. Or did you? Yeah. You know,
I just started listening to the podcast audio version.
Yes, so I listened to the podcast audio version, and it's called The Widower, and it is about, I don't want to spoil it for anyone, because I want you to go all listen, because it's really good. 3 parts, and obviously you can get the audio version on their podcast feed. That was really good, and it's about a guy who been married 6 times, and 4 wives are dead, and that's all I'm going to say.
Suspicious.
So, little suspicious. So that was good. So those are my 2 things at the moment. I've been sort of, and other than that, I've just been walking a lot. That's all we can do is go outside and walk. So doing that sort of thing. It reminds me of what you said earlier. Have you seen that meme? And it's got like the little bird, and he's like raging, and he's like, going out for my stupid little walk for the day.
Yeah. And going out for my last scrap of serotonin.
Yeah.
It's like a really angry looking duck, isn't it?
Yeah, duck. He's like raging, like walking, rage walking. Yeah, that is a whole mood. Yeah, sorry guys. Hopefully, fingers crossed, in the next coming months, we'll start to have more exciting things to good stories to tell you, and fingers crossed anyway. All right, so today for true crime news, have you guys heard about Lady Gaga's dog?
Yeah.
Yes, dogs, 2 of them. Right, so this article, it's all over the news, and it's probably, most of you probably heard about this by now because it was everywhere. But this particular, what I'm going to read has come from a BBC News article. So basically, Lady Gaga's dog walker, Ryan Fisher, was shot, and he had 3 of the dogs with him, and 2 of the dogs were stolen in LA. Police said the attack happened about 21:40. What is that? Is that 9:40 p.m.? Yes, sorry. I still can't tell because we don't do that. The 24-hour clock in America. Anyway, local time on 24th of February in the area of Sierra Bonita Avenue and Sunset Boulevard. The suspects approached the victim in a white Nissan Altima 4-door. 2 suspects exited the vehicle and demanded the victim turn over the dogs at gunpoint, the LAPD said in a statement on Friday. The victim struggled with the suspects and was shot once by one of the suspects. They then took 2 of the 3 dogs and fled the scene in the suspect vehicle. The statement said also from the police that the victim, so he's in stable condition and they think he will make a full recovery, but he was shot in the chest, quite seriously.
Jesus.
Yeah, and the 2 suspects are described as black males aged 20 to 25. It's not clear whether Lady Gaga's dogs were specifically targeted in the attack. The 2 dogs stolen in the armed robbery now this kind of came up yesterday, I believe, that they have actually been reunited. So they were actually turned in now, the 2 dogs, which was good. Details of how the dogs were recovered are kind of unclear, but they did say a woman had brought them to the police station because she was offering a $500,000 reward, $500,000 for the return of the 2 dogs.
Wow.
Fuck.
I'd be like, maybe this is dark. You know when you getting 2 dogs and trying to make them look like the other, you're
they're painted.
Yeah, you're painting them. Here you go. No, I joke, but I'm really glad that obviously Ryan Fisher's made a statement now, or he posted on Instagram to say he was really, thank you for all the support, and he looks like he will make a full recovery. The dogs are back, but it hasn't clear if the woman got the reward or what's happened, and there hasn't been any new news on any arrests or anything, not yet anyway. So as of when we're recording, but yeah, so that was all of the news this week. And last week, wasn't it?
That's crazy. I know there's been a spate of dog thefts since the beginning of the pandemic because of people want dogs. So people are just stealing dogs and selling them. This has been awful. So I'm glad he's okay, but that's really terrifying.
Yeah, to just
be out on a dog walk and get shot and then have someone's dogs nicked from you.
Yeah.
Horrible.
It seems bonkers to shoot someone to steal their dogs.
Yeah, it's excessive, isn't it?
When you're just really? What? I don't know if, what you were trying to obtain was really worth... Not that anything's worth shooting someone for, but, I suppose if you're in a... I just don't get it. I'm just that's shocking. You're right, there have been tons of dog nappings in the UK. You see it all the time. I read an article recently, and I was trying to find it, about how they've skyrocketed in the UK as well, which just seems really sad.
It is so sad.
So horrible.
All the time I'm sitting here with a fucking cat with a cone on its head and I was trying to nick that prick on it. Sorry. It's not funny.
How is your... Yeah, you're right. Your cat is...
How is the cone? Yeah, she's all right.
Yeah, Hannah sent us a picture in the week that was
I
thought she was dead.
Oh no, I just feel really bad. I shouldn't laugh at it. She's okay. She's got she has allergies and they flare up. And she just has to wear a little tiny cone every time it flares up because we can't pinpoint exactly what it is. And we thought it was seasonal, and then it turns out that it probably isn't seasonal, and we don't know what it is anyway. So we popped the cone on her. She only has to wear it for a couple of weeks. And I sent a video in the group chat of just her. She thinks she's washing herself, but she's actually just licking the inside of the cone. And it's really funny, but it's also not funny because she's obviously struggling with life. She's got the IQ of a Satsuma anyway, so
Bless her little
It's
heart.
so bad. Poor thing.
It's like, girl, I feel you.
Yeah.
I look at her sometimes and I'm like, I get it. Don't worry, babe.
Poor thing.
This week for our review section, we're going to talk about crime scene, The Vanishing at the Cecile Hotel. I don't know about you guys, but I got so many messages from people like, oh, have you watched this? A lot of them were not normally like true crime folk, just regular people trying to watch it. And I don't know why this particular docuseries was so popular, but it seemed like it was really accessible to people who don't normally watch this kind of thing. I mean, even my partner is not a true crime person, and he suggested, do you want to watch this? Which I said, all right, let's do it.
Also, can I side note? You got one podcast named Murder Friends, and like I get all these like messages from everyone about any true crime documentary.
Yeah.
Like on the planet from all like everyone.
Did you guys watch all of it? Watch some of it?
I watched all of it.
I watched the first episode.
I envy you. Okay, so I watched the whole
same.
thing, and I have feelings. So I thought I would go through and do like a quick recap, and then we can talk about our thoughts on it. Of course, there are going to be spoilers, but I think a lot of people have already watched it by now. So the show is a 4-part documentary. Each episode is an hour. 4 hours. Okay, that's the first thing that just drove this docuseries, whatever you want to call it, made me irrationally angry. And I don't know if that's because I've been inside so much or if it was just really bad. But the first point is it is very long. And there's a lot of stuff in here that didn't need to be, but we'll talk about that later. So the story follows Elisa Lam, a Canadian student at the University of British Columbia in Vancouver. At 21 years old, she sets off for a solo trip down to California, and she eventually finds herself staying in LA at the Cecil Hotel. She vanishes. Now, if we jump through some of the show's padding, we eventually learn that Elisa was found dead and naked in the water tank on the roof of the hotel. That's the basis of the story, and the documentary goes into a lot of extra detail, which some of it was interesting and some was just completely unnecessary. We learn a lot about the hotel itself, how it's in an area of LA called Skid Row, one of the most dangerous and poorest areas in the US. The rate of crime, homelessness, addiction, prostitution, everything you can think of in this one area is overwhelming. They even talk about how some cops will actually like drop off criminals in this area to keep them out of the better areas around LA. It's just like crazy. And I get why we hear this background. Some people believed that it was a person from this area who hurt Elisa, like maybe lured her up onto the roof into the water tank, although no real evidence of this is found. We also go into details of serial killers who stayed at the hotel, most notably Richard Ramirez. You might remember him as the Night Stalker, which is a different Netflix documentary right now. So he stayed at the hotel during the height of his killing spree. And like, I get why that's interesting. You know, it's flashy to have in your documentary, but it just felt so padded. Like, please just carry on. Another theory is that Elisa met somebody while traveling and they potentially hurt her, but again, there's no evidence. Eventually, like literally like the last hour, I feel like, we learn about her mental health, and she was diagnosed with bipolar disorder and depression, and there's mention that she was taking less and less of her needed medications. So it's believed that she could have been having some type of mental health crisis, maybe feeling like she was in danger or someone wanted to cause her harm, and this could have caused her to think of hiding in the tank on the roof. But of course, once she is in the tank, there's no way of getting out of it. And even there's talk at one point that she might have taken her clothes off to help like tread water. You know, being in water and clothes is just awful. So, I mean, all in all, it's really sad. And the bit about this case that always kept it a mystery for me is there's mention of the water tank lid. So we hear at first that the lid was closed when she was found. And this lid is not on a hinge. It's like a really heavy piece of metal that's just like placed over the opening. So once you're in the tank and you're in the water, there's no way you'd be able to like lift that lid and close it over top of you. So that part always, like, I remember hearing that before, and that I always came back to that. I was like, well, if it was open, sure, but it's closed. If it's closed, it means somebody killed her, right? And eventually, like in the final minutes of the show, we learned that this was actually a miscommunication. The lid was open when she's found in the water tank, making it possible that she got in there herself and was obviously unable to close the lid. We also learned that her body had no signs of obvious trauma. You know, if someone killed her and tried to bring her up onto the roof, like it's a very difficult climb. So if you're carrying a body, like that would be very visible. Now, a lot of people have heard of this story is because the police decided to release video footage of her in the hotel area. And my partner, like I said, not a true crime person. He had seen the video, you know, years and years ago and had known it. And I think that's why it's so popular, perhaps, because people have seen this video go around. But you see her, she's erratic. She presses a bunch of buttons in the elevator. She jumps in and out. At one point, it looks like she's talking to someone who's out of frame, which is like really eerie. And she moves her hands at one point in a really unsettling way. And eventually she leaves the elevator and disappears out of frame. And that's the last sort of footage we have of her. Now, because this video clip was released, it went viral online. And this was like the days of things like first going viral. And everybody was talking about it. Everybody was watching it. Everybody was making their own predictions. And this was the most annoying part of this whole show, and I will die on this hill, is that we probably spend over an hour talking with what they call internet sleuths, which, who decided on that title? Because really they're just like armchair detectives or YouTubers. And at one point, this drove me, I just was like screaming into the void. We see this one girl who's a YouTuber, I guess, and she says, you know, I've read lots of autopsy reports, and Elisa's doesn't make any sense. Like, honey, who the fuck are you?
Oh my
God. We spend so much time on interviewing these YouTubers who were like Googling about it. And I get why they're included, because it went wild online, and that is part of the story. But that could have been like 10 minutes, you know, just a little blurb.
Part of it, yeah.
Yeah, just, you know, touch on it. I get it. But it was so long. And it also felt like some of these people might have been dealing with some level of mental health. And it kind of felt like gross, like it was exploiting them in some ways. There's one internet sleuth they interview constantly, the very soft-spoken guy. I didn't catch his name. And he was talking about how he spent hours, like thousands of hours, researching the case and watching the press conferences and watching the video. He even goes to the hotel like dozens of times to see if he could find something the police missed. He even gets someone to visit her grave and record it for him because he felt like he needed to see it. Hannah, I can see your face. From a human standpoint, I felt really sad. Like, this guy needs perhaps some help or a hug or something. Just seemed like it was really gross to be including that stuff. But from a viewer standpoint, I was like, why are we doing this? Please let me talk to a detective or somebody who knows what's going on. It's got to be like 25 minutes long, where they're talking about the mystery of why the elevator doors don't close in the video. Like, they interview what feels like hundreds of YouTubers talking about the mystery of why these doors don't close. So the whole clip, the doors are open, and they're like, that's really weird. Perhaps somebody is standing outside, like holding the elevator door open, like she's talking to them, and we go on and on and on. And finally, it turns out that when she went into the elevator and she hit all those buttons, one of them was the door open button, which keeps the doors open for 2 minutes. Done. Solved.
Well, you could have been, you're a YouTuber. You could have been on the, look, you solved it.
Just like literally a 30-second sentence.
Oh my God.
And we spend so much time on these predictions and just
She presses it multiple times as well. Like,
Yeah.
it wasn't connected to the documentary, but I saw someone who went to the hotel around the same period, and he was just pushing the same buttons that she was pushing. And I think he said that she pushed the door hold button or the door open button at least on 6 separate occasions. Well, of course, that's going to do exactly what it says on the tin.
It's not really a
open the
mystery,
door.
guys.
Yeah.
That part really killed it for me. So, I mean, overall, we got some great drone footage. My God, a lot of drone
beautiful
footage of that fucking building. There are some really interesting interviews. We get lots of interviews with the general manager, the woman. She was pretty interested, and she was telling, you know, how they're trying to like rebrand the hotel because like the reputations of the toilet and that stuff was cool. But my God, it was incredibly padded, and any bit with an internet sleuth made me want to cry. So I think I was texting you guys while I was watching it. Like I was angry, but I wanted to talk about it. Like I need someone to understand. So I ended up watching the whole thing. You really don't need to. I mean, the Wikipedia page alone is enough. It just was very padded. But I think it was so popular because everybody knows that video. So, you know, you go to and you think, well, it's just 4 episodes, and yeah, it felt like a waste of time. Anyway, that's my opinion. Hannah, what did you think?
Okay, so I saw it came up on the Netflix's coming soon thing. Do you know what I mean? On that page on Netflix, it has all the things that they're going to release soon. And the first time I saw it, I thought, oh God, here we go. The documentary series that no one fucking asked for. Like, no one asked for this. Like, no one cares about this. For there to be a documentary series, Let the Woman Rest in Peace. I immediately took offence to the name. I think it's called like The Vanishing at the Cecil Hotel. And I always
She didn't vanish.
She didn't vanish.
No.
She went missing and her body was found. It's easily one of the most sensationalized true crime cases, and I'm not even going to call it a true crime cases because to me it's a tragic accident of a girl with a mental health issue. But the documentary does nothing in that first 3.5 episodes, which is 3.5 hours, to desensationalize it. The second thing I took offense to was, I think it was less than like 10 minutes deep, and there's this guy talking about prostitutes, and it's like, for fuck's sake, we call them sex workers. It's 2020. Let's stop. And I wish I'd turned off at that point, and looking back, I wish I fucking had. The story is odd, yes, but it's solved. There's no mystery. It's set up to be something it isn't, and that kind of makes me feel a bit sick. Like, I feel it's a bit like ghoulish. I feel it's trying to find a word for it. It left like a bad taste in my mouth. It's poor taste. The bit with the lift video, I get that it was out of the ordinary, and it was, as you said, Alana, it was so picked apart and dissected by the people in the docuseries that it made it even more bizarre. The footage, if anything, has been taken completely out of context. A lot of people would have seen it separate from every other fact in the case, like when it was, you know, released by the police. So you're thinking demons, ghosts, trying to access this like alternative reality. But take it with the facts of the case, and you have a woman who is having a mental health crisis in an unfamiliar and dangerous part of LA who presses the door hold button. They're looking for a conspiracy theory. They are reaching for a conspiracy theory. There isn't one.
On that, they spend, it's got to be a half an hour talking about, well, you know, the hotel has a really dark past, and there's lots of evil in the hotel, and lots of people died, and perhaps, you know, the spirits, like the bad spirits, were doing something to her, and it just like, it feels gross. It feels gross.
I'm pretty sure that whole like having like seeing ghosts and demons and attributing stuff to that, when you hear about that in old English texts or like old books about like the Middle Ages, you're like, yeah, no, that's mental illness. We just didn't have a fucking word for it.
Yeah.
Spot on. No, that is absolutely spot on. Yeah, I have three points about it. The first one was I was getting ready to watch it, and then Atlanta texted us and said this documentary could have been an email. And I was like, which I think listening to you guys and watching the first episode really sums it up. Secondly, her family didn't participate in it, which is a big red flag. So that a lot of times when you have these documentaries like this, if the victim's family don't want anything to do with it, it just feels wrong. The third thing was, I thought with the internet sleuth stuff, it's like, and then I thought back to Don't Fuck with Cats. right? Yeah, Don't Fuck with Cats.
Mhm.
And we had Body Movin' and the other guy, and they were fantastic. We just kind of narrowed down to those two that they had. They were great interviews. And I guess the reason they worked, because they actually did quite a lot of actual sleuthing, and they had interaction with the murderer, didn't they? Because he was like doing stuff to screw with them, wasn't he?
Mm.
So I guess that made them like way more interesting part of the story. Yeah, I don't know. Obviously I haven't watched the whole thing, but I think it was because you had watched it before me, so.
I think when you're comparing the internet sleuths to Don't Fuck with Cats, they weren't doing it for entertainment. They were doing it to try and solve a crime, whereas I think these people were just speculating it and turning it into entertainment, and it's not entertainment. It's a very, very sad story.
Yeah.
And, she was, how was she, 23? That's too young.
Yeah, she's really young.
They,
another huge portion they talk about is her Tumblr account. She was I think she was 21, but she had the Tumblr account for a little while and it used it kind of like an online journal. Like, all right, I did too. Okay, so, but to have like all these people, they would comb through it, like every post she made, everything she reblogged. I can't remember the word for it anymore, but I get why, detectives would need to have a look at that, because it does play into her mindset. There are some dark posts and stuff, but for everybody on the internet to be going through it just felt really sad, and speculating and then making a YouTube video about it and what you think that means, and that just like really pissed me off. And then to include it in the documentary, and it doesn't really come across as like, shame on you guys, this wasn't cool. It comes across as like an integral part of the story, which that also pissed me off. So overall, I was just kind of pissed off.
Yeah, because they had someone who narrated some of her Tumblr posts as well. And I don't know about either of you. Some of the quotes from they had people narrate the Tumblr post and then people narrate some of the internet sleuth YouTuber comments as well. The narration was so overblown. It wasn't done for an educational or like, this is the situation and this is what happened. It was done to be, ooh, I feel really sad today. And it's just, for fuck's sake. It's like reading someone's personal diary.
Yeah.
It's voyeuristic.
Or like, I'm so glad there's no one to go back and like read my MySpace posts.
I deleted my MySpace, thank you very much.
Mine's deleted too, so hopefully that's gone. If it's not, I'm going to make sure. Good God, that poor girl. It's just gross. So yeah, I think if I had to rate it, I'd be like, don't watch it. Don't give them any views on the thing, because I just think it's a bit gross.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah,
it's
one
just
out of five. Fuck it.
Not good.
And we're back hating everything. Yeah.
Didn't we have an episode called We Hate Everything once?
Yeah.
Add it to the list.
Weird Crime Time.
This week for Weird Crime Time, we're headed to India, where a man got stabbed by his own cock.
Excuse me?
Huh?
For context, on the 23rd of February, a man had strapped a 3-inch blade to a cockerel he was taking to an illegal cockfight. The bird tried to escape, and during the scramble, the man was stabbed in the groin. He was rushed to hospital, but he died en route from loss of blood.
So he got stabbed in the cock by a cock.
Yeah.
I say groin, but I'm assuming cock. So cockfighting is illegal in India. It was made legal in 1960, and police are searching for the 15 other people suspected to be involved in the fight, not only for hosting the cockfight and illegal betting, which are obviously criminal offences, but they could also face manslaughter charges. Those who were organising and participating in the events could be deemed negligent and therefore responsible for the death of the man, which I think is quite an interesting legal thing.
Yeah.
But I know you're thinking, what happened to the cockerel, right? Well, first there was it was on the BBC News website first off, which brilliant. Don't often find a Weird Crime Time on the BBC News website. And there was one line in the article which just said the animal was held at a police station before being transferred to a farm. He had it. And then I did a little bit more research into it. And so the cockerel, he has a police constable to look after him and make sure that he's receiving adequate care. He could also be produced in court as evidence if the matter does go to trial. And I just have this image of a chicken in a police station being questioned by police and having his mugshot taken. And then him going to court in a tiny little suit. And I know it's not funny because the man died, but that is just the mental image that's got me through this week.
Oh
He
my
like
god.
he arrives in the farm and he's got like prison tats on his little feet. He's like all hard. He's strutting around.
All the other chickens are like, he
What?
killed him.
I know.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Well, we had a weird crime time. God, it must have been at least a year ago, where someone was making hats for all the birds.
Oh yeah.
So maybe they could make, rather than a hat, it could be, you know, a polished suit that he could wear in court.
Exactly.
Because you gotta look the part, right?
Yeah. Or a little tiny like orange jumpsuit.
Yeah, I was gonna say he's in his little jumpsuit while he's like doing
my
his time
God.
on the farm.
He's got a little teardrop tattooed.
Yeah. Like, oh
That's
yeah.
incredible.
Sorry, it really isn't funny.
It
guys.
really isn't funny, but
It's not. I'm sorry, but
But also, if you're gonna strap a giant knife to a cock, what do you kind of expect?
yeah,
you
like
get- it's
you're a
illegal.
dumbass.
don't do it.
Well, and that's all we have for today. Please check out our website, murderfriends.com. You can see our sources that we've used today for any of our stories. If you want to look further at that murderous cock. If you have any suggestions you want to send in, like last week we did a listener suggestion for True Crime 101. You can email us at murderfriendspod@gmail.com. You can follow us on Twitter, murderfriendspd, and Instagram at murderfriendspod. And we'll see you next time.
Bye.